You know that feeling, right? You're trying to build a chatbot or some AI tool, and you realize it has the memory of a goldfish. It's so frustrating. Well, guess what? OpenAI just dropped the official fix for that. It's called the Assistants API, and it basically gives your AI a perfect memory. We're going to break it all down.
No, I mean, really, think about that for a second. What if you could have a real, ongoing conversation with an AI? Like one that actually remembers what you talked about yesterday, or last week, or even a month ago. That's been the holy grail, right? And it's the exact problem we're going to tackle. All right, so let's talk about the big problem. I like to call it AI with amnesia. See, with the standard APIs we've been using, every single time you send a request, it's like you're starting a brand new conversation. The AI has zero memory of what you just said. And that means you, the developer, have to do all this crazy work in the background, constantly resending the entire conversation history. It's just so clunky and inefficient. Okay, so this slide really shows you the before and after picture. On the left, that's the old way. You're using a basic API and you're the one stuck juggling the whole conversation history. It's a mess. But on the right, that's the Assistants API. It handles all of that for you. It just remembers. And that makes the whole conversation feel so much more natural and, persistent. So, how do we fix this whole amnesia thing? Well, the great news is we don't have to. OpenAI already did it for us. They built an official solution, the Assistants API, and it was designed from the ground up to solve this exact problem.
And this right here is the biggest benefit. Look, this isn't just some new little feature. It's a total game changer. Building what we call a stateful AI, one that actually remembers things, used to take weeks of painful backend work. You had to manage databases, conversation history, the whole shebang. The Assistants API just handles all of it. Poof, gone. And that gives you all that time back to actually work on your app.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does this magic trick actually work, right? How does the assistant remember everything? Well, it all comes down to a few key ideas, and honestly, they're way simpler than you might think. Using the API is basically a simple four-step process. Think of it like a dance. Step 1, you create your assistant and tell it what to do. Step 2, you start a conversation, which they call a thread. Step 3, you add your message to that thread. And finally, step 4, you create a run. That's the part that tells the assistant, okay, read everything we've talked about and go. It's a really clean, logical flow. Now, this thread thing, this is where the real magic happens. Just think of a thread as a single, permanent conversation. It's like a container for everything you and the user talk about. Someone can close the app, come back days, weeks later, and as long as you use that same thread ID, the assistant picks up the conversation right where you left off. That's the secret sauce for its long-term memory. So if the thread is the memory, the run is the brain doing the thinking. Creating a run is basically you pressing the go button. It's you telling the assistant, all right, time to work. It reads the entire history in the thread, uses whatever tools it has at its disposal, we'll get to those in a sec, and then comes up with its response. It's the engine that makes everything happen. Okay, but having a good memory is just the start, right? The real power comes from what the assistant can actually do with that memory, and that brings us to its built-in superpowers. I'm talking about the tools that come ready to go right out of the box.
And there are three main ones. First up, Code Interpreter. This gives your AI its own little sandboxed Python environment. So it can run code, crunch numbers, create charts. Pretty amazing. Then you've got File Search, which is honestly a total game changer. You can just upload a bunch of documents and your assistant can read and search through all of them. And finally, there's Function Calling. This lets your AI connect to your tools, your APIs. It's basically how you give it eyes and ears to interact with the outside world. Yeah, this quote just hits the nail on the head. All that stuff we used to have to build ourselves, managing the conversation history, storing files, figuring out how to orchestrate different tools, it's just done. It's handled for you. For anyone building AI apps, this is a massive, massive accelerator. All right, so this all sounds amazing, but the big question is this API right for you, for your project? And that's super important because this isn't a silver bullet for everything. So let's get practical and break down exactly when you should reach for it and when you probably shouldn't. And the decision tree is actually pretty simple. You absolutely should use the Assistants API if you need an AI with that long-term stateful memory, if you want that awesome built-in file search, or if you just want to build something fast and not worry about all the back-end headaches. Now, on the flip side, you should probably skip it if you need to use a different language model, if you're the kind of person who wants total granular control over your own infrastructure, or, if you're just making simple one-shot API calls. This table kind of puts everything into perspective. You can see the Assistants API really shines when it comes to low complexity and having those powerful tools built right in. The basic API, still your go-to for simple, cheap, one-off tasks. And then you have frameworks like LangChain. That's for when you need maximum flexibility, you want to use any model under the sun, but just be ready for a lot more complexity. Okay, so let's wrap this up. When you step back and look at it, the Assistants API really is a huge shift in how we think about building with AI. It's a big deal for developers. And if there's one thing you take away from this, it's this. The really hard part is now a solved problem. All that heavy lifting, all that complex infrastructure you needed to build a smart AI with a memory, OpenAI is handling it. And that frees us up, all of us, to focus on the fun stuff, being creative, and building incredible things for our users. Which, of course, leaves us with one last very exciting question. Giving your AI a perfect memory isn't some crazy engineering challenge anymore. It's literally just an API call. So the real question is, what are you going to build first?